You have found the Par 3 podcast for the Memorial Tournament on the PGA Tour. My name is Stephen Andress, managing editor at thelines.com. In this episode, we're going to break down the two outrights I've bet for the Memorial up at Jack's Place in Dublin, Ohio, and also a prop bet I have added as well. 1 week before the U.S. Open, and a quick friendly reminder to check out thelines.com not only this week for all of John Hasselbauer's Memorial coverage, but also next week for the U.S. Open. He will have his golf DFS picks, his full betting card, pool strategy if you're into that for major championship season as well. We'll have all that covered for you over at thelines.com. All right, let's get into this. The Memorial, this is pretty similar, I think, in a lot of ways to what we saw at Valhalla at the PGA Championship. It's a Jack Nicklaus designed course. It is long. They've now lengthened this to more than 7,500 yards. The rough will be longer, I think, than the PGA Championship. So I think finding fairways will be important this week, more so than it was at the PGA Championships, and maybe some chipping and putting around the greens as well. I just think you're going to need a full, well-rounded game here at Jack's Place to win the Memorial. So really a combination of strokes gained on approach. I have added a little bit more driving distance for this year's Memorial with it up to 7,500 yards than I have in the past. And with the difficult conditions, you are going to have to take advantage of the 4 par 5s on this course. So I've used that in the modeling as well. And if we look at recent winners here, last year, Viktor Hovland, who finished outside the top 25 in strokes gained around the green despite winning the tournament, that was really the first time in several years where the winner of the tournament was not top 5 for that week in strokes gained around the green. So scrambling is important for most every year, last year being the exception when Hovland got the win. So who is my first outright bet here? Well, I have to give another caveat. Scottie Scheffler is playing really well. Obviously, he's less than 4-1. This is a really tough course. And I think the tougher the course, the better it sets up for a player of Scottie Scheffler's caliber. So I'm looking at the winner without Scottie Scheffler market that's available at both BetMGM and Bet365. And the first bet I'm making is the defending champion, Viktor Hovland, at 14-1 in that winner without Scheffler market. Why did I bet Viktor? Well, he's still not popping yet in the modeling. The beginning of the season was too poor for that, but I can't help but notice some similar trends here from what we saw going into his hot streak a year ago that led all the way up to winning the FedEx Cup. So last year at the PGA Championship, Viktor Hovland almost wins it, comes in second place. 2 weeks later, wins at Memorial. What happened at the PGA Championship? Comes in third, just behind Xander and Bryson DeChambeau, was electric tee to green. Gained 12.6 strokes tee to green, 4.6 off the tee, 6.5 on approach. And more importantly, gained strokes putting and gained strokes around the green, which for most of this season was a problem for Viktor Hovland. Went back to his coach. Clearly he's getting a little bit better in that area. Shades of what we saw with his around the green play when he went on that heater a year ago. And if it's a tough course and we're trying to beat Scottie Scheffler, whose ceiling can do that? Viktor Hovland can do that. And I'm getting 14-1 versus 18-1 in the overall market where he may have to beat Scottie Scheffler. I'll take the 14-1 and not have to worry about him beating Scottie Scheffler. He just has to beat the rest of the crowd here. Elsewhere, on top of the win last year at Memorial, he also had a third place on this course when the workday was held here in 2020 in the COVID year. So he's showing better form leading into this event. He's got course history as well. I think Viktor Hovland's a slam dunk here. I've been waiting to just have him show me a little bit of form to believe and have faith in his upside, and I think it's time to hop back on the Viktor Hovland train. This will be the first time I've bet him all season. I think he's close or already fixed at this point. So let's go Vic. All right, number 2 is Collin Morikawa. This is the only other outright I have, and again, I'm going into the winner without Scottie Scheffler market. I think on longer courses, it's more difficult for Morikawa because he doesn't have the distance off the tee, but he's uber accurate. He is number 1 in this field in good drives gained, which means he's either hitting the fairway or getting greens in regulation when he's not on the fairway at a higher rate than everybody else in this field over the past 36 rounds. he had a stretch there for a while where I wasn't sure what was going on with Morikawa's iron play. He's typically one of the most elite iron players in the world. He was losing strokes in consecutive weeks, but now back-to-back weeks, 3.2 on approach in the PGA Championship, 4.1 in the Charles Schwab. And for this event, what's really interesting and why I'm betting him, he's now figured out how to chip. He gained 6.1 around the greens at the PGA Championship, 2.1 around the greens at the Charles Schwab in the past 2 weeks. He's gained strokes putting in 3 of his past 4 events. That is wild to see for Collin Morikawa. He's usually relying on his tee to green game to win tournaments, but this is a very interesting development. I think he started to figure it out after a slow start to the season, and also he has course history. He won on this course when the Workday was held here in 2020. He came in second in the Memorial in 2021. So I think Collin Morikawa is set up nicely here to continue a heater here. If you look at his last 5 events, 3rd at the Masters, top 10 at the RBC Heritage, 16th at the Wells Fargo, and then back-to-back top 5 finishes coming in. You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody with better form right now than Collin Morikawa, at least in terms of the guys who haven't gotten a win yet this season. So Collin Morikawa, the odds that I bet him at, there's a 50% odds boost for everybody for this tournament at Bet365. I went to the winner without Scotty market. I used it on Morikawa. That got me up to 16.5 to 1 on Morikawa to win this tournament without Scotty Scheffler involved in the odds. So I think that's a pretty good look as well. So I mentioned those are my only 2 outrights. Short card for me this week because I think it's going to take an elite golfer to win this tournament and potentially beat Scotty Scheffler on a very difficult golf course. So I'm going to give you a prop for the 3rd and final on the Par 3 podcast. And it's Corey Conners, top 20. You can either find us around plus 140, or if you go to BetMGM, where all ties are paid in full, you can find around plus 120, plus 125. Corey Conners is on an absolute heater with his irons right now. If we look at the last, let's say 4 out of his past 6 events, he has gained at least 4.9 on approach in 4 of those past 6. He gained 6.8 at the Valero. He gained 7 at the Wells Fargo, 7.8 at the PGA Championship, and 4.9 at the RBC last week. Guy gained 6.9 strokes putting. That is very unusual for Corey Conners. Let me tell you, this guy is typically a below average putter on the PGA Tour. And of course, the 1 week I bet him last week at the RBC Canadian, gained 6.9 putting, and he still doesn't win the event. Comes in 6th place. So just a little bit of bad luck there. But, I mean, this is a guy who is on fire with the irons. That leads to consistent play when it comes to final results. He has finished top 20 in 2 of his past 3 events. I think this iron play continues. I don't like him to win this week because the course is so long, but I can tell you I'm going to have an eye on his odds when they open for the U.S. Open next week. The odds aren't as good right now. Typically, the market will reset, and we'll get better odds on some of these longer shots like Corey Conners. So I think there's a chance he's floating around triple digits for the U.S. Open next week. Right now, there's a 90 available at FanDuel. If you want to just hop on that, you can if you want. I'm going to wait. But for this week, I'm going to ride this iron play and see if we can get another top 20. And again, reminder, it's a limited field. This isn't a huge field. This is a signature event with a limited field, no cut. So even if he gets off to a slow start, he's going to get the full 4 rounds to try and get himself into the top 20. So, Corey Conners doesn't have the all-around game that we were seeing from Collin Morikawa right now, but for 2 guys that are great iron players in their history, it's Conners who's actually been the better iron player over Morikawa leading into this tournament. Hope that was helpful. As always, everything we do absolutely free over at thelines.com. Go to the top right-hand corner, hit that Discord button, join our golf community. Excellent conversations every week leading into these tournaments to help navigate how we're thinking about things. Go check out John's articles right now on the website as well. Good luck with your bets for the Memorial Tournament.